Okay, so picture this, right? It's like, um, imagine this guy, kind of like a chess grandmaster, but instead of carefully moving those pieces across the board, he's he's going head to head with this like supercomputer
Oh,
in this like crazy high stakes world of the stock market.
sounds intense.
Yeah, that's the wild story we're diving into today.
Okay.
The story of Navinder Singh Sarao
The
and the 2010 flash crash.
flash crash.
We're
Yeah.
going to be breaking down Liam Vaughan's book, Flash Crash,
Okay.
to like really understand how it's got. I mean, he seemed totally ordinary, just
Yeah.
a trader from West London.
Yeah.
Managed to mess with Wall Street's like most powerful algorithms,
Hmm.
and ended up contributing to this market plunge that like seriously shook up the whole world.
Yeah, I remember that. It was huge.
So get ready for a deep dive into the kind of hidden world of high frequency trading.
Right.
This world where like milliseconds can actually equal millions of dollars,
Crazy.
and where one guy's actions could have like these huge unintended consequences that are still shaping the financial landscape today.
It really makes you think about, who really has the power in our financial systems, right?
Right.
Especially as they become more and more automated, and it kind of exposes, how fragile the market can be when it relies so much on these complex algorithms.
Yeah.
Sometimes, at the expense of transparency or fairness.
Absolutely. So let's start like right at the beginning.
Okay.
Who was this Navinder Singh Sarao?
Yeah, who was he?
Well, he was a self-taught trader, not your typical Wall Street image at all. I
Okay.
mean, he was operating from his childhood bedroom,
Wow.
but he managed to become a major player in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange,
Right.
the CME,
Right, the CME.
and he was trading these E-mini S&P 500 futures contracts.
Oh yeah, those iminis. They're fascinating. Basically they're like bets.
Bets, okay?
Yeah, bets on the future, like which way the S&P 500 index is going to go.
Okay.
And they're traded like crazy, huge volumes.
Hmm.
So they're really susceptible to those rapid price swings. Very, very liquid.
Yeah.
And Sorrell, he saw an opportunity in all that volatility,
Oh, okay.
especially with how those high frequency traders were using their speed advantage to kind of, manipulate those swings.
And that's where we see Sorrell getting more and more disillusioned with the whole system.
Right. Yeah.
He really believed that these high frequency traders, these HFTs,
Right.
that they were essentially rigging the game.
Yeah.
Like he would point to tactics like quote stuffing. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Where these algorithms are like flooding the market
Right, right.
with orders that they don't even plan to fill.
Yeah, they're just creating this smoke screen
Yeah.
of false information.
Yeah. And that can trick, other traders and their algorithms into making these bad decisions.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a magician's sleight of hand,
Okay.
distracting the audience while they pull off the trick.
Okay.
And Sorrell felt like these tactics were just, tilting the playing field,
Yeah.
disadvantaging traditional traders, and just introducing this element of artificiality into the way the market figures out prices.
So instead of just accepting this as the new normal,
Yeah.
Sarah decided, you know what?
What?
I'm going to fight back.
Oh, wow.
And he came up with a strategy called spoofing,
Okay.
which was basically placing these big orders that he never intended to actually execute.
He's just putting them out there.
Yeah, to create this illusion.
Of demand.
Yeah, of demand, where supply
Mm-hmm.
to try to manipulate prices to work in his favor.
Yeah, so spoofing, it's illegal for a reason.
Right.
I mean, it really distorts the market's, natural flow of information.
Yeah.
It creates these artificial price movements that can really help the spoofer,
Yeah.
but at everyone else's expense, really. It's market manipulation, essentially.
So it's like I don't know. Imagine you're at an auction,
Okay, yeah.
and this person starts bidding like super aggressively
Huh.
on an item, drives the price way up,
Right.
and then at the last second they back out.
Oh, wow.
That leaves everyone else kind of confused.
Yeah.
And maybe they end up overpaying for something because of it.
That makes sense.
It was risky,
Yeah, it was.
but Sarao, he was kind of under the radar,
Right.
and he managed to turn it into a pretty profitable game.
And his success, at least at first, it made him like a bit of a folk hero.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. At least in some trading circles.
Wow.
Here's this guy, this lone wolf taking on Wall Street
Uh-huh.
and winning.
Yeah.
But like any story with hubris,
Right.
his actions would eventually have consequences he did see coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that that Sarail's success with spoofing,
Hmm.
it gave him this like, almost like a Robin Hood image
Yeah.
for some traders who felt like, really frustrated by the whole HFT dominance thing.
Yeah.
But as his strategy got like more and more bold, so did the potential fallout, right?
Right. And what's interesting, Sarao wasn't just in it for the money.
Oh, okay.
There was this element of rebellion in his actions, like a real desire to expose the system because he felt like it was rigged.
Yeah.
He was taking on the whole establishment,
Yeah.
but in doing so, he kind of crossed a line
Yeah.
into this legal and ethical gray area that ultimately led to his downfall.
And that downfall, it all started with one of the most like dramatic events in recent financial history.
Oh yeah.
The flash crash of May 6, 2010.
I mean, that's a day that anyone who was involved in the markets, they remember that day.
Yeah.
The Dow Jones, it just plunged like almost 1,000 points
Oh, wow.
in just minutes.
Crazy.
Wiped out billions in market value.
Yeah.
And then it recovered just as fast.
Just as quickly. Wow.
It was chaos.
Yeah.
It really showed how fragile our financial system is, especially with how interconnected and automated everything is.
So Sarao, I mean, he wasn't solely responsible for the flash crash, right?
Right.
But investigations show that his aggressive spoofing on that day, it definitely contributed to the sudden sell-off that kind of triggered the whole plunge.
Yeah. His actions, they were like an accelerant,
Yeah.
They amplified this already volatile situation in the market.
Right.
It's kind of like imagine a small crack in a dam.
Yeah. Under the right conditions, that crack can cause the whole thing to collapse.
Wow. Yeah.
Sarao is spoofing that created the crack.
Okay.
And the HFT algorithms, they're programmed to react to any price movement instantly, right?
Right.
So they poured through that crack,
Yeah.
creating this cascading effect.
Oh, wow.
Sent the whole market into a tailspin.
It really is a stark reminder that even in this market where algorithms are calling the shots, human actions can still have a massive impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when those actions are exploiting the system's weaknesses, you know?
Right. And the aftermath of the flash crash, it was a real turning point.
Definitely.
I mean, it led to all these investigations, regulatory scrutiny,
right.
And people were demanding more transparency in the world of high frequency trading.
Oh yeah, the CFTC, the FBI, they launched this huge effort to figure out what happened that day. I mean, they had to analyze millions of trades.
Yeah. Looking for the needle in the haystack that would lead them to who was responsible.
Yeah.
It took years.
Yeah.
But eventually their investigation led them to Navinder Sarao,
Wow.
the lone trader, working from his bedroom, half a world away from Wall Street.
His arrest in 2015, that must have been a shock to the financial community.
Oh, totally. It was like a wake-up call, not just for Sarao, but for the whole industry.
Right.
An industry that had been operating with a certain level of freedom, pushing the limits of what was okay in their pursuit of profit.
And suddenly this trader, this unassuming guy, he becomes the face of the dangers of algorithmic manipulation and the potential consequences of exploiting the speed and complexity of these modern markets.
His case, it became like a legal thriller,
Oh, wow.
The resources of the U.S. government going up against this one guy who in a lot of ways represented this David versus Goliath battle.
Yeah. Against the perceived injustices of the financial system.
So the stage was set for this high stakes legal battle.
Yeah.
A battle that would raise some fundamental questions.
Absolutely. About the ethics of high frequency trading.
Yeah.
The responsibility of individual traders in a market that's so automated.
Yeah.
And how do you even regulate a system that moves at at the speed of light.
It's fascinating.
It really was a case that went beyond Sarao's actions. It
Yeah.
forced us to confront the systemic issues at the core of modern finance,
Yeah.
issues that are still shaping the debate about the role of technology, regulation, and human accountability in our markets.
Yeah, I mean, Sarao's arrest and the whole legal battle, it really caught people's attention.
Oh yeah, for
It
sure.
was like this average guy going up against Wall Street, you know?
And in the process, he kind of showed how vulnerable the system is, a system that a lot of people felt was already rigged against them.
It was definitely David versus Goliath story that resonated with a lot of
Yeah,
people.
totally.
But we have to remember this wasn't just a clear-cut case of good versus evil.
Right.
Sarao, I mean, despite what he might have intended, he was still doing things that were illegal.
Right.
He was manipulating the market to make money.
And that's where it gets kind of tricky, right?
Yeah.
Vaughan in the book, he doesn't shy away from showing how ethically ambiguous Sarao's actions were.
Right, right.
He was fighting against these practices that he saw as unfair.
Yeah.
But the way he went about it, it was illegal.
Yeah.
And it had these huge consequences.
The book, it really explores that tension.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, do the ends justify the means, especially when those means involve messing with a system that so many people rely on for their financial security.
The legal stuff was just as interesting as everything that led up to the flash crash.
Oh, yeah.
Sarao's lawyers, they argued that he was just a small fish in a big pond.
Right.
That the HFT firms,
Yeah.
with all their money and fancy algorithms, that they were the real manipulators.
Yeah, they were the puppet masters, essentially.
They said he was a scapegoat,
Yeah.
a convenient target for regulators who wanted to show that they were doing something after the flash crash.
And there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
I mean, what Sarao did, yeah, it was illegal.
Right.
But it wasn't exactly unique.
Yeah.
Spoofing and other ways of manipulating the market, they were pretty common.
So then the question becomes, was Sarao this mastermind who wanted to crash the market? Or was he, like his lawyer said, just a product of a system that kind of encourages that kind of behavior?
Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question.
And it seems like the court, they had a hard time figuring out a clear answer.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, Sarao, he pleaded guilty to spoofing and wire fraud.
Right.
The sentence was pretty light.
Yeah, he didn't go to jail.
No jail time, and he was allowed to go back to the UK.
Huh?
Which surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I bet.
They were expecting a much harsher punishment.
Yeah, I mean, that leniency, it was probably because he cooperated with the authorities.
Yeah.
And he was willing to kind of explain how high-frequency trading really works.
Right. His testimony was really valuable. It gave some real insights into what these HFT firms were doing and how difficult it is to regulate this whole world of high-frequency trading. It's so complex, so fast-moving.
And his case was like this big wake-up call for regulators.
Absolutely.
The flash crash and Sarao's part in it showed just how vulnerable the market is when it relies so much on algorithms.
Yeah, and how that speed and complexity, it creates opportunities for manipulation.
Right.
and can lead to these unintended consequences.
In the years since the flash crash, we've seen some changes in regulations.
Yeah.
To try to curb some of the excesses of high-frequency trading.
Right.
And to make the market more transparent.
But the question remains, are these measures enough?
Yeah, are they enough to prevent something like this from happening again?
And that's one of the biggest takeaways from Flash Crash. It's not just a good story about this rogue trader. It's a warning about the challenges of trying to control a system that's constantly changing.
Yeah, yeah.
A system where technology and human behavior are all mixed up. And often in ways we can't predict.
So was Navinder Singh Sarao a criminal mastermind or just a symptom of a broken system?
Yeah.
Liam Vaughan, he leaves that for us to think about.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, Sarao's story and the flash crash itself,
Yeah.
they show us that even in this world where everything's automated,
Yeah.
what people do, whether it's because of ambition or greed or even just wanting to shake things up,
Yeah.
it can have these huge ripple effects that go way beyond just that one person.
Flash crash. I mean, it's really a must read for anyone who wants to understand how our financial markets work.
Yeah, I agree.
And the challenges we face in navigating this whole complex landscape.
It's this really fascinating look into the dark side of financial innovation.
Yeah, it is.
And it reminds us that even the most advanced systems, they can be vulnerable to human ingenuity, whether that's good or bad.
Absolutely. Well said.
And that's it for today's deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Trim Vaughan.